Good morning and welcome to Jasiri. We're thrilled to have you join us today as we mark our 1-month anniversary on the airwaves. It's been an incredible journey so far, ladies. It's been a ride and I know there's a lot more coming your way. So once again, good morning.
Yay! I know, right? It's so exciting. I mean, from insightful discussions to inspiring interviews, each episode has been filled with laughter, learning, and meaningful conversations. We couldn't have reached this milestone without our amazing audience. And Francois, I want to say a big thank you to you. Thank you so much for cheering us on, for supporting my comedy career. Wow. It means so much to me. Wow. You are the best part of my career. And I want to say thank you.
Wow. I'm going to just jump right over because this morning we're celebrating the power of conversation and the joy of sharing stories that inspire, inform, and unite us. And you know, we can't truly appreciate the present or prepare for the future without taking account of the past. So as we reminisce about our memorable experiences and the past month, I say cheers to making more memories. Cheers. Yes. Well done, ladies. Well done.
That's amazing.
Okay, I'll start with you, Blessings. What has been your best moment so far? 1 month is something, but I count 1 year. We must wear bells and whistles. But anyway, what's been your best part so far?
Aside my comedy, you know, the jokes that I just casually throwing as though I didn't prepare for them. I think for me, it's always the laughters, the banters, you know, the originality. Yeah, I think that's it. And the first episode was something.
Well, it was. I can't remember anymore.
It was the first episode.
I'm literally telling you guys, I can't remember anymore.
Episode was it was beautiful because it was filled with excitement. Yes, you know, these ladies, yeah.
So, you know, in our post-mortem, every day after the show, we make sure we sit down and we talk about how the show went. We plan for the next show, but we just talk about things to make sure we're giving you what you want. And Lolo said something that really struck me, and she's like, she's excited every morning to come to Jasiri, to be part of the conversations that for a long time in her career, and Lola's been doing this for a long time, I've been doing this, Bookie, you've been doing it for a long time. Gen Z's body is clocking several years now. Almost a long time. And, you know, there are things you do every day because it's what you have to do. It's what is expected of you. But being on a show like Jasiri allows you to really just have fun.
Yeah.
And impact change.
Yeah.
And when I think back on the conversations, like having Melanie Shola yesterday, I had goosebumps in that conversation when we were talking about female genital mutilation and how she's a survivor and now she's using her voice, the most powerful thing she has.
Yes.
Then Cora's interview.
Oh, so that was very, very surprising for me. I didn't think that she was going to be really, you know, transparent the way that she was. So it was very, very surprising. I wasn't sure what we were going to get. You know, we're just doing this life in the spotlight.
I mean, I was watching
really
the show, and it was surprising because I didn't expect that level of openness. So I think that this platform has created a kind of, you know, because they see ladies who are willing to share and give you that free space to open up, you know, so you just do it by default, and it's been beautiful.
So I have to put Bookie on the spot before we leave this conversation. Bookie is our producer. She's stepped in as needed and necessary, and we will hear her in our ear sometimes. Sometimes there was one...
On to question 5.
There was one post-mortem we had. She looked at Lola and said, "You did not do what I asked you to do." And it's just so interesting because you have a different perspective. You are behind the scenes and in front with us sometimes. What has been the thing that has probably driven you crazy the most?
I think that's probably it. It's okay. So it's 2 things, and I hope the second thing I'm going to say will not bite us in the behind. So the first thing is, it is that we need to go. We need to move, ladies. Stop talking. And it's like when you have 4 or 5 people on the table, you know, it can get loud and lively, and they just don't want to go. But then the second thing is that we just don't have enough time to, you know, like to talk about stuff.
I didn't hear that.
I know. But like, you know, that for me is like that's the craziest thing. And of course, you know, I have to say that the guys behind the scenes are doing a great job. We're finding our feet. We're making changes as we go along. You remember the first day we had newspapers. Second day we're like, it's not working. Take it out. Let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. Besides which, we say we're not a political show. We're not, you know, but we're going to give you current information, right? We're going to give you what's happening, what's trending right now, what's important. But it's also important for us to have the the vital and crucial conversations.
Yeah.
And sometimes, sometimes that means going deep. Sometimes that means not even saying what is on the news at all.
Yeah.
It's just what's important, what's vital, what's going to be meaningful and relevant.
And to be honest, I must say that aside the guests that we've had, I've also learned from the ladies here. So just being here, having conversations with the ladies, I'm leaving here wiser.
Yeah, we're agony aunties. Very soon we're going to be doing a Dear Jasiri segment.
So
send us your issues.
It's coming.
We will talk
it's
about
coming.
it. There is so much coming for you on Jasiri. As Buki said, we're not a political show, but we can't ignore the things that are happening around us. And tomorrow is one of those conversations because the streets are unhappy. We know the protest in Minna, in Kano, because of cost of living. And tomorrow we have to dive into that because it's affecting all of us on this table. But there's also another topic we need to dive right into, and that's because it's been making the waves online and sparking debates on parenting practices, which is actually what is in the spotlight for us today. Now, a video recently surfaced showing a child at his friend's 10th birthday party casually spraying bundles of Naira notes as if it was confetti. Now, this footage has ignited a flurry of reactions and raised questions about the role of parents in shaping their children's values and behaviors. While some view it as a harmless display of affluence, the family has it, they can share it. Others are concerned about the message it sends as well as the values it instills in the young boy. Now, you can see it. Let's take a closer look at the clip.
Which kid attends class May 10th birthday?
So in the audio, which has a bit of a problem, he was actually being encouraged. He was just standing in front of his friend initially, and then he was handed this bundle. You hear this, hey! And at the end of the day, you're just looking at this situation. This is obviously something that is a bit of a cultural thing, spraying. We have to talk about that. But is this really appropriate at this age to be encouraging a child, whether it's a boy or girl, but in this situation, a boy, that young, to be spraying his friend?
Well, it is what he's seeing, right? Our politicians are doing it. Our celebrities are doing it. Our mommies and daddies are doing it.
But somebody just went to jail for it.
I was coming to that because it's like, who do you hold accountable? Who do you hold responsible for this? But it really isn't appropriate to even be encouraging it. I mean, and why even record it? Why record it?
I think my question is, well, aside the fact that we do understand how that triggers us in this part of the country, or in this part of the world, I don't exactly see why it's wrong. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of times we over, attach, I don't know, maybe cultural relevance or emotions to things like this. I see confidence because it's not every child. The truth is, a lot of people, a lot of children growing up feel inferior, right? They kind of grow up feeling inferior. So parents sometimes just do anything it takes to
overcompensate.
Thank you, Tolu. That is overcompensation.
Yes, it is.
So you're saying it's confidence for the little boy, and then what about the other children that he is intimidating by this show
that will
of
now
confidence?
go home and next thing is, Mommy, I want to do this. Unfortunately, it's the parents I blame. I'm sorry.
I mean, I feel like if your children are feeling intimidated, then that's the problem with your children.
It is not the problem. So let's also talk about parenting.
We have to talk about age appropriateness as well.
But that's the problem. So what I found is that a lot of young parents, there's no structure, there's no restriction. As they themselves are and showing themselves on social media, so too are they showing your children.
Of course.
My child is on my social media, and I'm actually going to reduce that. I've reduced it now. But it seems like they lose their sense when it comes to social media. Whether you're showing off what is true or what is not, you're faking a lifestyle that is not, just so you're showing off for the gram. And then in terms of wealth and generosity, somebody will say he's being generous, but I'm sorry, I think this is a tacky display.
That is beyond generosity.
So I'm going to say, probably I would need to come back fully on social media because I've been on a digital detox, so I didn't exactly see the full... mental health.
Oh, so
There's something about Gen Z. But to be honest, I feel like a lot of times we live our lives on social media. So sometimes I just take a step back, right? And that's part of what we're saying, because there's this pressure to want to show off everything on social media, just display your life on social media. And I think that the earlier we realize that social media is not real life, it's even going to shape our own behavior as well. So if this was a display for social media, I'm just saying it from the context of, if your child is spraying at a birthday party, not exactly...
Well, what are they going to be doing at 12?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, Buki, very quickly, because you're not producing today, but they're telling me to move on. So is this because we talk about social media raising our kids, celebrities raising our kids, now it's the age of the social media influencer. That is a job title that people haven't introduced themselves as. But who's responsible for what our kids are seeing and modeling on social media? They're not even supposed to be on Instagram. Instagram is not 16 years old.
Yeah, it's the parents that are responsible. I'm just saying it is not age appropriate. I'm not saying that it is wrong in the sense that, look, if you've got the money you want to spray, go ahead and spray. But I'm just saying it is not age appropriate. You start them young, you're looking for trouble.
And then let's not also forget, in Nigeria, it's actually illegal to spray money. So, I don't want to use the word desecrate. So I don't want to use the word desecrate, but there's a way in which the CBN and the government has repeatedly asked Nigerians to handle the naira. And we recently know, of course, of an actress who has been sentenced to jail because there's a video of her spraying and stepping on naira. Those videos abound. So this is a topic that's not going to end anytime soon, but you can use the hashtag Jasiri and, of course, our social media platforms at News Central to tell us what you think. What's up next?
Well, coming up next after the break is a topic that deeply intertwined with the fabric of Nigerian society, the phenomenon of JAPA. And today we want to look at its impact on parenting practices and, of course, the retention of cultural identity. So don't go nowhere. We'll be back.
Welcome back to Jasiri. Remember, we are live on our social media platforms. So if you're on the move and you can't watch us on DSTV 422 or Star Times 274, you can still be a part of the conversation on X, Facebook, and Instagram. Make sure to use a hashtag Jasiri so we know that you're watching and you're listening to us as well. But this morning, we're looking at the impact of JAPA on parenting and cultural retention and identity.
Now, for those unfamiliar, JAPA is a term commonly used to describe the act of migrating or seeking opportunities abroad, often in pursuit of a better life. As more and more Nigerians choose to JAPA in search of greener pastures, we're witnessing a shift in traditional family dynamics and cultural norms, from long-distance parenting to the challenge of preserving cultural heritage in a foreign land. There are a myriad of factors now at play.
And joining us to delve into this conversation is a dynamic force in the world of parenting, advocacy, and education. He's a certified Gen Z facilitator, as well as a social and emotional learning expert. He's an author and the founder of ParenMark Consulting, Akinropo Akinola. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
And don't be intimidated by the women.
No, the sigh was the first time. Did somebody tell them something about us?
It's like, oh, God help me.
So just before you came in, we took a story showing a young boy who was at his friend's birthday party and spraying some money. And we have some divergent views. Our Gen Z here thinks that there's really nothing bad in it. I think we've accepted the spraying culture. But we are arguing, myself and Buki were looking at it in terms of the appropriateness. And so as we were discussing before we came back for the break, you said this is also not the first video. It's not the first time. And we'd just like to get your thoughts on that in terms of a parenting perspective and how some of these things are playing out and what they're saying about our parenting as it is as Nigerians.
Style or approach.
Okay, so when we look at what happened, like I did say the other time before we came on board that I first saw something like that about a few months ago, whereby a guy, his dad, handed over the bundle of this cash to the guy, and the guy headed straight to the musician. Started spraying the guy. Then afterward, the guy kept going back and forth and made sure, ensured that the money was actually, done in their own sense, reasonably okay. So it was okay for the dad, and the dad returned the guy. What am I saying? That thing happened in the church. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it happened in the church. Exactly. So now coming up again with this one. So, well, we can't say it's so strange because it has always been part of our culture for elders, right, who believe that had actually made money and they're spending out of their excesses, excess money, the profit, to appreciate musicians and to appreciate themselves. But when that thing has now been narrowed down or, got into the lowest ebb of that indecency, please permit me to use that word. It calls for, concerted effort from parents, teachers alike, elders and adults to really put this in perspective. So the first question I want to ask is, what was or is the agenda, the objective of giving a child, right? Giving him the money or give her the money to spray musicians. What is it? Though I have attended parties before whereby you see teenagers, children, appreciating themselves, take this, they're just happy out of what their parents have given to them. So we may, in a way, permit that, right? Because everybody is there under the close watch of the parents. But when the thing now gets to the school environment, whereby a parent or whoever that is there, stood up, then they begin to spray. And after that, the guy or the child also, collect the bundle and start to do it, replicating what is seen the adults do. What we tell parents is this, excuse me, whatever we do remains or is defined as a content curriculum to our children. So it is whatever they see us do that and they will do because of the impressionable nature of their mind. Their mind is just like a sponge. Put it in the water. You don't need to exert any force. It soaks it up. So anything we do, we must always, put them in mind. How are we going to correct that? How are we going to let them know that this thing is meant for adults? I think it may be difficult. It may, because we won't know. Because, okay, now, somebody may say, well, it's relative. What informs the decision of an adult or a parent to hand over, say, maybe 40 naira or 1,000 or 500 naira to his own child to spray? It's the same thing that makes someone who claims that I have money, I can throw around, I can hand over 500,000 naira to my children or to my child to do the same. Okay. The culture is at what point? Where is this allowed? Okay.
Because I know on this particular issue, because if we respond to him, we will not enter the actual topic. We have questions because we've seen this JAPA phenomenon and how it's now impacting family dynamics. So I want us to go into our main conversation. As someone deeply involved in parenting advocacy, how do you perceive this phenomenon of JAPA and the impact it's having on Nigerian families and children, particularly in terms of cultural retention?
Okay, so over time, the past 20, 30, 40 years, people have always been migrating from one place to the other. Started from the Bible, you could see it in the Quran, right? So it is not, it has never been the problem. But where it concerns us now and where the real problem is because of many calls, mails that we've been receiving lately in the past 2 years about how some children, have turned to be what their parents knew them to be when they were in Nigeria. It's so alarming, and the moment to say that now, to iron that out, is now. See, we tell parents that the children that you are raising now, they are not the children of yesteryears.
Or how we were raised.
Or how we were raised.
We belong to Generation Next. Children born from 1964 to 1980, 81.
No, that's not me.
Okay, so, okay. Another one there from 81 to 97. So, generation changes. Yeah. And the perspective on how to raise the generation must always change. When we say this, people think that we want to change the purpose of parenting remains the same from time immemorial. But the only thing that is different is how to achieve. So mean that methods will not be the same. Let me take us back to COVID-19. Before COVID-19, I went to a school in 2017, and we told them that empowerment is superior to enlightenment. And I took that word from my coach, Barrister Akinropo. So he told us then that empowerment is greater, it's more desirable than enforcement. So meaning that when something happens, when you enforce, it's an intervention. An intervention is always almost late. So we told them that when you want to hand over a device to your children, empower them. What are the things that they need to know in handling? It's not enough to say you want to reduce the screen time, you want to give them for 1 hour, then later you collect it. What happens when in a case we just told them that something may happen that it will afford them the opportunity to have the device 24/7.
Yeah.
How do you undo it? Some parents say, no, it will never happen. I will never allow it. Boom. 2019, 2021 came. COVID happened. These children that you've been withholding this thing from, they now had access to it 24/7. And there was even a joke. Somebody, a parent and the child was telling the mom that, remember, sometimes ago you used to withdraw this thing from me, but now it's my word. Now it's my word, and I have it to myself.
Yeah.
Concerning the JAPA, now that we're saying, we told parents, or we still tell them that before you set out, right, to start your family, get what we call family constitution. Inside family constitution, it recites your value system, vision, mission, what do you really want to engage in life, then the mode of communication, the mode of discipline. How do you want to discipline your children? They will always say that we want to copy a Western word. And I always tell them that beating children to obey was never part of our culture. I'm not sure whether time will permit me to go into that. Our forefathers didn't start to do that. That's why when the word parenting came, Omo, like from Yoruba perspective now, Omo is somebody that you mold. Omo, mo is from the word verb, mold. Omo is something that you mold. It's somebody that you mold. It's not somebody that you beat. It's somebody that you mold, that you raise with right value. So when you look at the word Omo, then you know, because this man said, of blessed memory, that when the purpose of a thing is unknown, then abuse is inevitable. Yeah. So if you don't know that the word Omo means to mold, we will definitely abuse the children. So we tell them, have this thing in place, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. So tomorrow holds now that everybody now embrace JAPA. They have to go to seek greener pasture. I tell them that it's not about the education alone. It's not about exposing them to the other to the world beyond them alone, but it has to do a lot with their interpersonal relationship skill. It has to do with the value. It has to do with their retaining their culture. Okay. Now the problem is this: when they now get to those areas where it is wrong for you to beat your child before the child could listen, then they are stuck.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean, let's be very honest. There's some clips that I've seen in past years where children literally go out of hand because they know that the parents can't touch them. But I'm not even going to go deep into that. Let's now talk about for families whose child or children, go without them. And you did mention value systems, having that family value system outlined from the start. So if your value system does not exactly align with how they do it in the Western world, and you know that your children are there, isn't that going to be like conflicting interest for your value system as a family and the country your child currently is? And how do you manage that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not going to be, it's not going to conflict with our value system, because your value system is who you are. It represents your identity. Nobody can change your identity. If you get to a particular place, so we tell children, teenagers now, and we give them, I use one philosophy to teach them in that, it's a metaphor. You either be a thermostat or thermometer. What does a thermostat do? Thermostat reflects the environment. Thermometer reflects the environment. It reflects the temperature. What is there is what thermometer will read. But a thermostat kickstarts. Yeah. So when you go out there, be a thermostat. Don't be a thermometer. When you are a thermostat, you kickstart. You start your own value. There is no way, right, that the value they see over there will overshadow them. We've seen many cases of children going there. My daughter is there. And it's because of how we have raised. It's because of how a lot of things that we have said, that you are going to a world that is beyond you. A world that is very, very different. Nature is different. Even the religion perspective is different. The way they think is different. So how are you going to meet up? So what we tell parents is, there is a course, it's called, my coach again is handling this. It's called Ready for Life. most of our children, we are not preparing them for life. So when a teenager gets over that place, right, they just reflect what is there. They become thermometer. They are not thermostat. Again, we have some children, teenagers, who were actually, nurtured in that right value, but when they get over there, they turn to something else. I'm going to address that in two perspectives. One, there are choices.
Yeah. Yes.
There are choices. So you can't really pin them down. Yeah. When a teenager believes that regardless of how my parents parented me, I have a choice to make. So that one is another perspective. Another perspective is this, that it's possible that parents do not or did not really know how to impact this value system in their children. Maybe your choice of language. If your choice of language is wrong, they will not connect. Then the purpose for them, for you, the purpose we are giving them for them to obey. If the purpose is for you to get immediate compliance, children will give you. And when they go out, they become their own. So let whatever, maybe the disciplinary measure or whatever you want to give them, let it be from what is in need for me, what is in need for the child. It's not about what is in need for the family or for the parents. So everything that you want to set, let it come from the perspective of how is it going to be beneficial to the children, to the teenagers, not to you. Because they are thinking, they know that parents can be selfish. They know that my parents or my dad only want me to respect him or her. My mom maybe respect her in the public, and they will give it to you. You tell them to kneel down, you tell them to prostrate, they will prostrate. But you are giving them, what you are projecting is different from what even your own personal life. It will really reflect. Those guys don't know how to fake it.
So in all of this, because it's a cultural shock, and I think a lot of people are experiencing it now. Yeah. The attempt to balance preserving cultural heritage and assimilating the culture that they have. Yeah. It's very difficult. I can give a few examples because this was an experience for my family. We grew up in Nigeria and we teach children not to look adults in the eye. In the eye. In the West, many people consider it a bit shifty and shady and somebody lacks confidence when you're not looking them in the eye. Yeah. I have cousins who grew up there, and when they came to greet their grandparents here, they did not kneel down. They extended a hand and said, "Grandma, hello. Good afternoon." But then I also remember my parents made a sacrifice. So when we went, I was about 4 or 5 years old, and there was an older family member who said, "If you do anything, make sure she speaks Yoruba. If you've ever heard my Yoruba, please, I beg you, no vex. It's Obumasho Yoruba, very local." But one thing my parents did is, as soon as I entered the house, English stopped. And I always have this core memory when I was about 6 years old of spending 20 minutes to tell my father, "Mo fe jeun." And I was crying, but this man said, "Until you say it in Yoruba, you're not eating." And now I can appreciate that strictness, that attempt to ensure that inside the house, you're understanding culture, you understand you're a part of a people, you come from somewhere. You're not just coming to the US to come and become an American. You are someone, you have an identity. So I also want to ask in terms of the identity, the assimilation, the balance, because our kids will need to be part of that culture. They'll need to understand those cultural norms, but then we also need to keep our own culture. And I have to salute them. Organizations that you can become part of that continue to, of course, propagate the culture. How are we going to do this assimilation so that our kids are balancing?
Yes. So now, let me take it from the first area of the culture shock. Parents will contribute to that. When we hear a measure or maybe one tradition or culture, I take it from where they told us that, how we were raised, that we are not raised to look at our elders in the eye, because to them it means that you are being rude, right? So one day, we knew all these things will always cause problems, because something you are not able to explain the reason behind it to your children, it won't really last. It's like saying that, okay, you don't give an elderly person, you don't use your left hand to give, collect something. So to collect or to give, those questions my children ask me. So concerning that now, you don't look them in the eyes. I tell parents, when they come to our school, I say, please, I say to them that, please, go and write down all those parenting instructions that they gave you. Write them down and go to your fathers, Ask them,
why
were the reasons for this? They will tell you. When they tell you, then you know how to interpret to your children. So I now told our children that now what that means is really you don't look your elders in the face. But if you have a rapport with any elder, maybe your teacher, you let them know that I want to look, and I don't even know, because even in Yoruba they say Oju Lorowa.
Yes.
So meaning that
it is in the eye that there is
so if you want me to pay
attention,
I should look, but they say that when you look them in the face, okay, no problem. So we now tell them that the reason why they do that is so that you don't do that. So how do you now ensure that even though you look them in the eyes, but you still respect them? That is when you are being assertive, not aggressive. And that has to do with the choice of your communication. That has to, do with the choice of your eye contact. You could look somebody straight in the face by not disrespecting the person. Yeah. You could look and intentionally, you can just look at the person and just be smiling like this. At times, my son would tell me that something happened and I was, livid. And my son said, Daddy, I will report you to your customers now that you are frowning at me. Wow. Do you understand? I said, I know them on Facebook. I'll just go there now. See what my daddy is doing. But, by the time he gives me that eye contact smile, then he hugged me. So I won't say you look at me in the face disrespectively. So I tell them that even if you want to look your elders in the face, try to smile, carry that face. Let them see that friendly face in you. And when you are interacting with them, let your word be assertive and don't be aggressive. So what they just need to do is to find out what were the reasons, because and I like this, our culture. I'm sorry, I'm Yoruba, and I'm proud of that. I like it. For every culture that they handed over to us, there were always stories behind them. Ask stories, because I told somebody, why did they say, I asked one of my uncles, then he's late now, why they say that men are logical, then why women are emotional. Over time, I've heard that they've been saying it. Then in a training, my coach told me that it's a lie. Yes, that we have some men who are emotional also. Then the uncle who told me that, and I went to him to ask why, and the man told me, oh, blessed memory, and I said that thing came up when men were always going to the war front. So you have to be logical before you can win. And women were asked to sit at home, take care of the children. When their men come back, feed them. So you need a lot of emotional strength, resilience before you could, engage that effectively. But now, women are no longer sitting at home. Yeah. They are out there, and the same way men are out there. So now you don't say that a man has to be logical alone. A man has to be logical and emotional. The same way.
I think that
emotional intelligence.
I'm sorry. I want to, just because you've talked about, when you go as a teenager, many people are going with their young families, right? And I moved to the UK when I was barely 16 years old, and I know the culture shock that I received. But because I had such a strong upbringing, a strong background of family and roots and whatnot, there was, and of course I had church as well on my side. There were a lot of things that I didn't feel pressured by, right? But you're going with young children, 2, 3, 4-year-olds, where the culture is significantly different now. And I'm saying the UK, America, Canada of now is not the same UK, America, Canada of 10, 15 years ago. It's not. The culture is different. The liberties that they take, and I'm not trying to single any particular faction out, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. The lifestyle and the things that are allowed is different. And it's being indoctrinated. The children are being indoctrinated now. It's starting from a very young age. So I think I'm more concerned about how the young children, how the parents are going to find that balance between yes, you're in this world where nothing apparently is frowned on and everything is allowed, but in our household, in our family, this is not allowed. And how do you stand up for yourself in public when you're being pressured to accept something that you know you can't accept?
You cannot accept. Yeah. Yes, fine. That starts from whatever that is written down stays longer in the brain. Somebody told me that the worst pen is better than the best brain, or something like that. Just write everything down. So where most of our parents are missing it is they don't document their cultural heritage. They don't document the identity of their family, who they are. When you document everything, there is no way. You start documentation before the children were born, before you start to bring them to this world. So when you document it, that thing you are handing over to them, they come into the house to look at it, to see it. There is a corner where that book will always be there. So why do we think the religions of Christianity and Islam are growing fast now? That happens because of the Bible and the Quran.
The written literature.
It's been written down. It's been perfected. No one can change it. The interpretation could be different.
Right.
That's why I said that the method could be different, but the purpose remains the same thing. So we tell parents that, see, what you need to do, and they are doing it now. Some people are over there, what they rejected, right? I have countless examples, cases in point. What they rejected when they were with us, that we told them to get free, they are paying for it now. Because, I mean, they can't bring the children back. On few occasions, we've seen many people, a few people who said that, well, these children, please go back. We are going to be here until you are 18, then you bring, and I just tell them they're just compounding the problem.
Because you're loosening the bonds.
So, talking about the identity and culture, document it. Who are you, people? Where are you coming from? Where are you coming from?
What are your values?
What are your values? The values that your forefathers bequested to you, is there any way where you can tweak it just to meet the reality of the day?
Yeah.
Right? So when those things are documented, your children see as young as 1 year old, when they could open their mouth to say daddy or dada or mama, they will be, you take them there, you read it to them. This is who you are. This is where we come from. This is the picture of my great-granddad. And my great-granddad used to do this. Used to be a hunter, this. My grandmom used to be a market woman. All those things, let them know.
Family tree.
Family trees, let them know. So once they know, the next thing you need to teach them is emotional intelligence. Like I always tell people that our parents knew emotional intelligence, but they didn't just know how to pass it across to us. And that's why when you see our parents back in the day, they gave us oriki. Yeah. When they want to send you on errand, they call you Ashake, Omo Kinika, Omo Lagbaja, Omo Badi Abaku Atala. No. And you know, from nowhere, our heads swell. How did that happen? That is the power of word. Over time, you know, they speak it, they've been speaking it over time, and it's been sealed up.
Printed on us. Yeah.
Printed on us.
Okay.
So that's another. So once they are connected, they are connected with those oriki. And when they go out, that thing keeps following them. They know what their forefathers were doing. They know what their forefathers were doing. There was something happened in my...
we can't go.
I told you to.
There's no...
No. The truth is... let me skip that. Now, in order for them not to experience any culture shock or not to attack any culture they find there that is not really connecting with them, emotional intelligence has to come in. This morning on my Facebook account, I posted confession. Speak the confession to the subconscious mind of your child, empathy and kindness.
Okay.
These children, they can revolt. Yes. You know why? Once they know that their parents really don't like a particular religion, or their parents don't really like a sexual preference, they don't want their parents to really hit it on them, that don't play with these people of this sexual preference. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Oh, don't play with this person of this religion no, don't do that. See, the moment they leave you, right? Because they are always empathetic to the cause of their generation. That's why you will see a teenager will not mind to play with anybody.
Okay, we have to end it on that note. There is no more time. There's so much more to get into on this, but we've touched on the issues of cultural retention, even identity, but then again, there's also the larger conversation about the wider societal impact of this JAPA trend and what it means for us as a country, Nigeria. But Akinropo Akinola, social and emotional learning expert, author and founder of the ParenMark Consulting, thank you so much for joining us on Jasiri. We're going to have you back. It feels like we're just starting the conversation.
So I think we'll do a special one of these days. One of these days.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we're going to go on a quick timeout. We have hot topics coming up to make sure that we end the show the way you expect. Stick around. Welcome back to Jasiri. Now remember, we're live on our social media platforms. So if you're on the move and can't watch us on DSTV 422 or Star Times 274, you can still be part of the conversation on X, Facebook, and Instagram. Make sure you use the hashtag Jasiri so we know you're watching. All right, people, get your fans out because it's time for hot topics.
We're supposed to have like... But before we enter hot topics, I mean, this conversation with Akinropo is so important. And I feel like we only just scratched the surface of it. We haven't even gotten in halfway through our questions because there's so many fragments to it.
While he was talking, I was remembering one confusion I used to have when I was a child, because my mother would be talking to me and then I'm trying to stare her in the face and she'd be like, "Oh, what's your name, mommy?" You know, like, why am I staring at her in the face? And then I looked at her and she's like, "Look at me, Ojulo, what do I do?"
You know, so that's confusion. And also, he made the point, we need to realize we're raising children for a new generation, for new challenges, for new realities. It doesn't mean that our cultural values of respect for elders, kindness, and whatever it may be change, but they might have to adapt. Because as I said, if you're in the West and you're not looking them in the face, they see that as somebody who lacks confidence, who might be a shifty or shady individual. And so it translates differently. So we need to ensure they're able to culturally assimilate outside, but also if you have to bring them back to Nigeria, they're not going to be going around looking like, where am I?
I think, and remember, this was part of my argument with the Area Star thing, right? Where people were going crazy. Oh, she didn't kneel down, she didn't bend down, she didn't lie down, and I'm just like, you know what?
I'm a bit more particular about what this means for the children, because sometimes you can get very carried away with, oh, culture, you must pass down your culture. But when you're telling your child not to look people in the face, some people become very, you know, they lack that. Yeah, exactly. You know, no child of mine will be fondling with her shirt when someone is talking to her. You look them in the eye, maybe nicely, but you look them in the eye.
I tell my daughter, even if I'm mad at you and we're fighting, speak up. Look at me and talk to me. Open your mouth and speak up. If you're greeting somebody, if they don't hear you, that means you have not said it. So we are raising different children.
We're raising different children for a different time, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, so this hot topic is about what's going down tonight, and we want you guys to know all about it. Bookie has the details.
Well, as you know, Nigeria Super Eagles are locking boots with South Africa's Bafana tonight in the semi-finals match of the African Cup of Nations. Now, the Nigeria High Commission in Pretoria on Monday issued an advisory on safe conduct for Nigerians living in South Africa ahead of the match. And some of it reads, the attention of the Nigeria High Commission has been drawn to potentially inflammatory online comments made by a section of South African citizens against Nigerians living in the host country. And this is rising from the upcoming semi-final match between Nigeria and South Africa. They also stated that most of the comments consist of veiled threats against Nigerians cooking jollof rice before the match and showing them pepet if the Bafana lose to Super Eagles. Nigerians are being urged to be mindful of their utterances as well as where, they're told to be mindful of their utterances and also choose where they watch the matches, especially in public spaces. And they're advised to refrain from engaging in loud, riotous or provocative celebrations if the Super Eagles win the match. Now, Tolu.
It's not Tolu, it's Blessings. Because somebody has now responded to the High Commission of Nigeria and South Africa, and Blessings has
it really is getting serious, because just yesterday, in response to the advisory letter from Nigeria's High Commission in South Africa, the country's Department of International Cooperation posted some tweets saying that The DIRCO has learned about an unfortunate advisory issued by the High Commission of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in Pretoria. Now, the advisory is regrettable as it seems to create alarm and unnecessary tension between South African citizens and Nigerians living or visiting SA. They basically said that the Commission is making noise for nothing and that South Africans pose no threat to Nigerians and have asked for the diplomatic representatives to approach DIRCO to address any concerns about diplomatic matters. Why?
Call my name again now. So I absolutely agree with the High Commission of Nigeria in South Africa for this release because it is a release that is based on history. Even in 2019, when there was a situation of the African Nations Cup as well, Nigeria and South Africa played, there were, of course, reports of issues. We're not saying necessarily full-on violence and protests in the streets, but things were tense. And Nigerians were asked again to be quiet, to keep down, to be careful where they go. And so for the Department of International Relations and Cooperation to come out and say that this is more of an alarmist alarm for no reason is ingenuous.
It's ingenuous and it's in denial. It's in denial because, you know, we're still grappling in some places where xenophobia is still happening. I don't think South Africans like Nigerians. And I say that from experience, actually. I mean, in the production business, back in the day, we used to have a lot more South Africans come to Nigeria to run these productions, reality shows, Nigerian Idol, and the rest of them, music videos and co. And, you know, I've seen the way that they respond and react to their Nigerian counterparts. Sometimes they may not necessarily even have more experience over, but just the fact that they're coming from a different country. And it's like, why are you here? It's like, why are you talking to us? Why are you here having this conversation with us? I don't know.
So I don't know where it comes from, but I know what is fueling this. You see that thing that we tweet all the time. Nigeria and Ghana, we kind of have like this. We know they agree.
It's camaraderie,
you know, that kind of thing.
though.
Exactly. It's supposed to be, you know, a joke.
It's bants.
We now see, especially with football, you see where SAs are throwing shades at Nigerians, and then we're like, we're having issues with Ghana, you know. And at first it was like, okay, we're joking around Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, but it's getting we're taking it a little bit too seriously now. You know, someone, when Tyler won the award that she won, someone was like, Tyler has won this, Nigerians, please don't put us to shame. And someone was like, be careful what you comment, because it's now looking like we're taking this out of Twitter and a bit too literally. It's supposed to be a joke, it's a ban. So I would say that maybe we pipe down on the kind of tweet. Nigeria and Ghana, we understand ourselves, right?
Blessings, it's not going to happen. So I was talking to Bookie before the show, and I showed her the responses in the DIRCO's tweets in the thread. And so we have people saying, why are Nigerians in the country? Nigerians need to leave the country. That if they go now, that all the drug problems of South Africa will be gone. And then even when this, the statement from the High Commission was posted, we saw the same things in that tweet thread as well. So yes, it's on Twitter, but before there was Twitter, we were having these xenophobic attacks.
So remember that, aside the xenophobic attacks, some few months ago, in different, I think Johannesburg and some places in South Africa, they were literally going about
looking for not Nigerians, but locking up shops, migrant shops.
Yes, so it may not just be a South Africa and Nigeria problem. I think they just don't like foreigners.
No, so I think there's active competition between Nigeria and South Africa. And one thing you said is very true. We bant on Twitter. Nigerians
have time.
You know what it is? Nigerians we don't have shame. Other African countries want to shame us for not having 24-hour electricity.
We already do that.
They want to shame us about the status, or depending on your opinion, of our president. They want to shame us about many things. But Nigerians are quite shameless, and so we return it with the same energy.
And they can't take it.
And they can't take it. And
we send you with the good things you have going on.
If we win this match with everything that's been going on, Nigerians will tear more. You don't understand it, as in the aggravation and aggressiveness that Nigerians will use to banter on this, especially because Ashake, David O, and Burna Boy lost to Thailand and Ghana. If we lost Grammy, we must win this match. But all jokes aside, I think I was in South Africa a few months ago. I was well received, but also probably because of what I was there for in the limited time. And we spoke to a few Nigerians there, and they said it is a problem. So I think South Africa needs to be reflective, and it's not just to Nigerians, to other Africans. Zimbabweans have issues there. Other Southern African countries have people who are in South Africa. And South Africa is a country that we all vibe for. We all pulled for during the apartheid time. So
it's like we feel connected to South Africa.
We're fighting Amapiano and
music,
Afrobeat
other music, to be honest. So
I don't know. We're going to say this. We wish the Super Eagles all the best of luck. We are pulling for them to win this
and they
match.
Will win.
And Blessings is a prophet.
So
She said they will win. But we
Yeah.
must keep the bans and the comments on social media to what they are.
Yeah.
Football bans, Grammy brands, and whatever. Let us make sure that it doesn't go beyond just banting. And
there's no need to show us Pepe. We already have it.
we already have it. Plenty of, there's pepper in this country already. All right, ladies and gentlemen who are watching, we know you guys are out there. Don't think it's only the ladies watching us. We know. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow, tune into the conversation because, of course, we need to touch base with Nigerians on the cost of living and the social issues that are happening. So that conversation is one you don't want to miss. Without taking too much of your time, it's #Jasiri at News Central TV are the platforms, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Happy 1 month, Jasiri.
Happy 1 month.